News!
Okay, we'll start with this. My mind was going everywhere. Jocelyn Camarillo recounts the wait for Isis CO to recover, which she now has. Jocelyn Camarillo was eager to rush towards a spot on Jake Paul's MVP talent-laden women's roster in May by showcasing her talent and charisma in the opening bout of Pro Box TV's Saturday card. Camarillo, 21, did her part, improving to 6-0 with her first-round knockout, a first-round finish accomplished in 1 minute and 18 seconds. Yet, the celebration was short-lived, as Camarillo's opponent, flyweight Isis CO, 19, crumbled forward to the canvas and was wheeled unconscious and convulsing out of the National Orange Show Event Center to emergency treatment at Loma Linda University Health Medical Center, where she went into a medically induced coma. On Monday, more than 36 harrowing hours after the knockout, CO emerged to awake, to breathe on her own, and to converse with medical personnel and her mother, and Camarillo, 6-0, breathed a heavy sigh of relief. "Thank you, Jesus," she wrote on Instagram. In a Tuesday conversation with Boxing Scene, Camarillo elaborated on the tribulations of the event. "Obviously, I was looking for the knockout win, but things happened, and that's the sad thing about this sport. It's real, and these things can happen," Camarillo said. "More than anything, I'm happy my opponent came out of this okay." It's the crisis of conscience that both the boxers and the boxing fans feel. It's brutality that draws them to the sport. Simultaneously, it's brutality that leads to situations like this. In those 36 hours, my mind was going everywhere. I was just overwhelmed with emotion. Obviously, I was proud of myself, but I felt like I couldn't really be happy even though I put so many hours into the gym. It was a bittersweet feeling. I just couldn't stop thinking about her and how she was. It was this back and forth feeling of being happy and being guilty. A crisis of conscience. While Camarillo, dressed in a Kill Bill outfit complete with a sword, in a social media skit before the fight, she said seriously injuring CO was never her intent. She took to social media Monday morning seeking to fully explain her state of mind. "First and foremost, CO has been on my mind, and I'm truly relieved that she's okay. I would never want anything bad to happen to anyone I share the ring with. The sport is dangerous, and we all step in there knowing what's at risk," she said on a Monday post. "This was my first knockout win, and in the moment, I was overwhelmed with emotion. I was proud, excited, and honestly reacting. It was never from a place of disrespect or a lack of sportsmanship." Camarillo's excitement was so quickly tempered at the sight of CO being urgently tended to, as the personnel executed a California State Athletic Commission plan rehearsed in the hours before. Those protocols in the event of a knockout were expertly executed. That's why, thankfully, CO was gotten to the hospital on time. Camarillo posed as the triumph was sealed. "As soon as it registered what was happening, my energy shifted. I took a knee and my concern was with CO. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not a malicious person," said Camarillo, who trains in her hometown of Indio, California, under Marcos Caballero. Caballero means gentleman in Spanish. It can also mean knight or horseman. His former contender's son, Randy, who sought to comfort Camarillo in the moments after the bittersweet win. "Boxing's history is littered by tragedies, where the winning fighter versus an opponent who died is haunted and diminished by the event." So would it be selfish or inappropriate to say that I hope Jocelyn is not affected by this moving forward? "What's been harder is feeling judged and attacked, especially during a moment that's already been a lot for me to take in," Camarillo wrote. "I'm still learning and growing, not just as a fighter, but as a person, navigating moments like this in the public eye. I also want to say I truly appreciate everyone who has reached out to check on me mentally. It means more than you know. Much respect to Isis CO." Camarillo contacted CO's mother via DM. "I definitely want to see her in the hospital, but I don't want to overstep, and I don't know how they're going to feel towards me," Camarillo said. "I've sent her mom the best and said, I have so much respect for Isis. I see she loves what she does. I asked to send her my best and said if she wants to continue her boxing career, I wish her the best." Camarillo's manager, Rick Mirrigan, Peanut Ricky, who struck the MVP deal for his fighter, told Boxing Scene, "I made a multi-year deal with MVP for her. I told them she was special. She cashed the check that my mouth wrote. She is destined to be a superstar, and I will make sure she gets there with her father and trainer," Camarillo said. "She is confident she can turn from this turbulent event and achieve all she wants to from her fighting career. I have more eyes on me, and it makes me want to work hard because I know I need to keep the winning streak going and prove my talent to everyone, Camarillo said.
Now, young Isis has since been released from the hospital after recovering from the coma she suffered following the fight with Jocelyn. The 19-year-old continues her recovery after showing remarkable progress, posing a crisis of conscience for all of us, because we watch combat sports from the drama of seeing someone get hurt, though afterwards we don't want them to be seriously hurt.
And as taboo as it might sound right now, I hope that Jocelyn's psyche is not seriously affected from all of this, because what she did on Saturday is what she is expected to do and what she is supposed to do to get anywhere in this sport. She only did her job.
Her killer instincts are what are needed to make it to the very top of this brutal industry. She has to be that way. It's the inconvenient truth.
Though I think collectively we can all breathe a sigh of relief that young Isis looks to be making a full recovery. If she was released from the hospital so soon after what happened, that's the inference we can all make. I don't believe she should keep boxing.
That was a close call. Too close for comfort.
Another inconvenient truth. Boxing ain't for everybody. Not everybody can do this professionally, and I think she just found that out.
Yeah, of course, but I've got love for Matchroom. I've got love for Eddie. Irrelevant of what they've been saying, irrelevant of what's been said, I still want Eddie in my corner. You know, I don't hold any type of feelings towards them. Ultimately, if you ask me to choose out my family and what sets my family up, and that my family's legacy, my kids are my legacy. You know, when they don't want to cover my dad's business class flights over, or, you know, you're reminded that you have a time span, you know, when you're done, nobody cares. When I'm done, nobody's going to care. Nobody. And there'll be a new one of me. Make hay while the sun's shining. You know, and take the best deal for me that I feel's right for me and my family. And it was the best deal. You know, by a country mile. So for me, I'm excited to be boxing under the Zuffa banner and really lead the way.
His partnership with long-term promoter Eddie Hearn was thriving, but he stunningly decided to announce he had signed a one-fight deal with Dana White's Zuffa Boxing that most speculate will last for more than one fight. Hearn was upset and left taken aback by the move, which will see Ben scoop a $15 million paycheck. He will take on former super lightweight world champion Regis Pregarius in a shock fight on the undercard of Fury's comeback in London on April 11th. As you could see there, sitting down with Adam Catterall, Ben insisted that he had no hard feelings towards his old promotional company and shed light on the nature of his new deal, but why would he have hard feelings towards Eddie Hearn? He's not the one hard done here. Eddie is.
If it's anybody.
There have been a lot of people trying to justify Conor Benn's actions behind the business of boxing, that, well, it's a business. If you want loyalty, get a dog.
I get it.
Though just imagine if in the 2 years that Conor Benn was dealing with that doping fiasco, Eddie Hearn would have exhibited anything but loyalty for his fighter. What would those same people have said if Eddie was more blasé about it?
If he weren't jumping on grenades over this guy.
What would they have said? The expectations here from the critics seem to be largely linear and one-sided. You expect Eddie and you expect Matchroom to be loyal to the fighters, but you can't expect the fighters to reciprocate. Because I guarantee you, if Eddie Hearn were anything less than loyal to Conor, when all that doping stuff was going on, those same people would have had something to say about it.
But it's okay for Conor to be less than loyal to Eddie. Is that it?
It's been an emotional roller coaster for Ben, who has had mental health struggles in the wake of a saga over his failed drug tests. But his journey culminated in an eventual win over Chris Eubank Jr. for the Destroyer, who is now ready to leave the rivalry behind him. He is now focused on developing as a boxer and as a person.
As a person? By stabbing Eddie Hearn in the back?
Let's make one thing clear here. I'm not proposing that Conor Benn should have rejected life-altering money for fealty to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. I'm just saying he could have been a man about it. He could have been upfront.
Like what Lawrence Okolie did when Boxer went in his ear, offering all that money to go over to Sky.
He didn't hide it from Eddie Hearn. He told him what was going on, what was on the table. He gave Eddie Hearn the opportunity to match it. They had their differences, but he wasn't sneaky about it like Conor Benn was, and you would have expected better from Conor. Eddie didn't have the relationship with Lawrence that he's had with Conor.
And as presenter Adam Catterall fielded questions about Conor's emotional maturity in recent years, Ben started to get choked up.
Why? I thought it was all fun under the sun and business was business. For the guys justifying Conor Benn's actions, why is it that he feels the need to explain himself?
Why is he still apologizing for this all of these weeks later?
It's what he's doing. If he didn't do anything wrong, and it's just business, nothing personal, then what's the point in all of this? Conor continued whilst visibly emotional. Yeah, I think you go through things in life. You find out who you are, who you want to be, and that's it, really. Boxing is for now, but I want to make the best decisions going forward.
Could it all be an act?
I now feel really calm. I don't feel the rage and anger that drove a lot of my career. I was fueled by the wrong reasons. Bennett previously blamed emotions on his original defeat to Eubank Jr. last April, but it is clear now his focus is on moving forward and keeping momentum going by beating Regis Prograis at 150 pounds. Even more interesting is Conor Benn revealed the demand that he made of Dana White and Zuffa Boxing before signing on. I made sure nothing would change. I want the WBC World title this year. That is a must.
And how's that supposed to work? That requires you to go through Ryan.
Ryan, who may end up having a rematch with Devin Haney at the end of the year. Conor continued, I don't know the politics of it all, or what has been said. I don't know what Zuffa are doing, but I will fight for the WBC World title by the end of the year.
Why would that element of Conor's trajectory be incremental to him signing to Zuffa if it's only a one-fight deal? If it's only a one-fight deal, you do the fight with Regis and then off you go. Unless it's more than a one-fight deal, and you just gave that away.
Freudian slip.
Why would pursuit of an alphabet title have anything to do with Zuffa Boxing unless your engagement with them is going to last for more than just one fight? While he says that he's got love for Matchroom and love for Eddie, and irrelevant of what they've been saying or what has been said, he still wants Eddie in his corner.
For what? And in what capacity? And what makes you think that Eddie Hearn would want to be in your corner? Most Eddie Hearn wants to do is put you in the ring with Jaron Ennis so he can beat you half to death.
If you could choose one of your fighters to fight against him, just one, who would you go for?
Jerome Boots Ennis. I think Boots Ennis is arguably pound for pound #1 fighter. So I think he'd win the fight. But you know, Conor's a good fighter. Tough.
Conor making his way down to 147 with the end goal being a WBC title fight and Jaron Boots Ennis having moved up to 154. They're not on a collision course, though if Eddie Hearn suggested that fight, it would have to be for obvious reasons because he wants Boots to pay back Conor for the double cross.
Still raw about it.
I expect him to be. The old saying goes, time heals all wounds. Many years ago, when Jarrell Miller popped hot for all those banned substances, ahead of what was supposed to be the AJ fight, Eddie Hearn said that he would never work with Jarrell Miller again. Fast forward, and he's promoting Jarrell Miller's next fight. So it's not impossible that over time, Conor and Eddie could make amends.
If Jarrell and Eddie made amends, it's possible that Conor and Eddie could make amends. After a few years.
Not here and now. I do not expect to see Eddie Hearn in Conor Benn's corner anytime in the near future.
There's not going to be a need for managers. Once you're in,
yeah,
you don't need a
saying.
manager
So you're working against your
UFC
own,
doesn't like managers either.
You're working
the
against
UFC,
your for the upfront money. You're working against your own interests for the upfront money.
Yeah.
So
Dana
and
White,
they're doing
Dana
it
White
again.
has gone on record, and I've heard this, that if there are certain managers that they don't like working with, they just don't.
Yeah.
So you're really you're kneecapping yourself by bringing your fighter to this organization where because of the way the contracts are structured, the way the system is, you're not needed as a manager anymore. You're already in the system.
Yeah, there's no negotiation.
It's very odd. It's very odd these guys are bringing their fighters there because they're cutting themselves out.
Well, it's the upfront money and greed that people can't get over. I mean, listen, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn did this already in the beginning. Now they're all mad and all palms up in the air. They're competing and then they're going back and forth and the line drawn in the sand. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted, though, right? But you gotta know.
To your point, like you were saying, like the $1 million question is, are these guys going to do this anyway? Yeah, even the promoters did it to themselves. You think the fighters are going to be aware enough to
the
not
promoters are
the
promoters are the cautionary tale, though. You're supposed to learn from mistakes.
Nobody pays attention. Boxing.
Greed.
There is no cautionary tale. Nobody knows their history. No one knows.
I know what I'm going to do.
Chris Algieri described it as odd. Boxing managers seemingly working against their own best interests by funneling fighters over to Zuffa where after a while they won't be needed.
Though it's not really odd so much as the battle between short-term gains at the expense of long-term interests. In Keith Connolly, funneling Conor Benn
over to Zuffa Boxing. He burned a bridge. The bridge with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, who now don't want nothing to do with that guy, DAZN either. What was in it for Keith Connolly in burning that bridge? Short-term gains. Zuffa Boxing must be compensating him in some sort of way for funneling not only Conor Benn over there, but potentially Richardson Hitchens and Edgar Berlanga.
Short-term gains.
That could potentially work against his role in the sport of boxing in the long run, but that's assuming that Keith Connolly plans to still be here in the long run. We don't know what that guy's personal and professional goals are. Maybe he plans on getting out of boxing after a certain period of time, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does plan on staying, but not working with Matchroom. There are other promoters out there to work with.
Zuffa Boxing's infrastructure is intended to be a biosphere where everything happens in-house, including managing fighters.
But here at the very beginning, when Zuffa's only done about 4 or 5 shows, they're not yet in a place where they're fully operational, their vision of the future. So for the time being, they need managers like Keith Connolly and Rick Merrigan to funnel fighters to them, draw talent.
Short-term gains.
Veteran fighter, trainer, and manager Robert Garcia is doing the same thing, likely for an incentive, some sort of a cash incentive, because it's not just his fighters that are now making more money as a result of going to Zuffa. He's got to be getting something out of that too. Otherwise, why would he do it?
The long-term strategy at Zuffa is to have everything baked into the promotion. So we don't know that these guys like Keith and Rick and Robert might not end up working for Zuffa, taking an active role in that promotion.
So another way it could break down, which a lot of people cite as a conflict of interest, where normally managers are intended to act as a buffer between the fighter and the promoter. At Zuffa, the managers would essentially be working for the promotion.
No buffer.
Often highlighted as one of the cons of Zuffa's framework, but the pro is that's one less hand in the cookie jar dipping into a fighter's purse, because over at Zuffa, there's not supposed to be no manager fees, sanctioning fees from the alphabet organizations, no training expenses because the fighters would be training at UFC's Apex training facility.
You ain't got to kick out no money out of your fight purse for a camp, so you get to take home more of it. That's a pro.
There are pros and cons to everything. There are pros and cons to Zuffa. That's the way it is. So it's not peculiar that managers within the industry are funneling their fighters over there, seemingly working against their own best interests. They're just getting while the getting is good. Zuffa is the new kid on the block, like how a few years ago DAZN was the new kid on the block, kicking out a lot of money to acquire a lot of fighters. Zuffa's doing the same thing, and the managers are capitalizing off of that, recognizing the opportunity.
It's not peculiar.
Whether or not that's going to backfire in the long run, only time will tell. It's not exactly a bad thing that what Zuffa wants to do in the long term is phase out those extra hands in the cookie jar, because that lets the fighter keep more of their own money.